think of moving forward as just kind of a transition program where you basically get to learn all the tools that you'll need to succeed in first year, specifically for people with a disability.
We also have the peer mentoring program in SASA, which is a student association for social association for students with autism. So if that's something that interests you, SASA runs every Friday throughout the year. We also have a social communication group and a CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy group for students with ADHD. So that's another thing that you can get access to right sort of in-house. We also have the volunteering note-taking service. So it's technically an accommodation, but you can always ask your disability counselor.
My favorite event at Moving Forward was the Strategies for Disability-Related Barriers, which were hosted by the Accessibility Advisors. Basically, it was an opportunity for first-year students to ask any questions they had related to their accommodations or to their disability, or to how to communicate with their professors. I enjoyed it because it gave the first years an outlet to ask those questions in a space that maybe they wouldn't have felt comfortable in otherwise, and to see them leave that session with some really great tips and tricks from the volunteers who have been here and who were sitting in those sessions as well, assisting them in answering those questions.
You'd be surprised how many students I work with who think that good reading is memorization. And that's not true. Good reading comes from good understanding. Notice how the article is structured. Are there diagrams or headings or sections? You need to read the introduction and the conclusion in this step. And this also includes reading the abstract, which summarizes a journal article. But you also have, if you're reading a chapter of a textbook, often there are chapter summaries at the end of the chapter. Go all the way to the end and read that summary first.
Note-taking is one of the skills that we work with students on to increase your knowledge and your abilities and your capabilities with respect to that. And like any skill, it takes time to master it, so you have to spend some time practicing it, thinking about it. You're likely to maybe start out with a lot of enthusiasm and then like color code your notes and do all sorts of really fun things, and then by midterms you're like, can't keep doing that, and so you might shuffle through a few different ways of taking your notes. With respect to lectures, as you've heard us say a few times now, we sort of have termed it an endurance activity. They can be, they can be 3 hours long. It's a long time to sit and listen to someone talk about a topic, particularly if you're not maybe that interested in that particular lecture, or you're not prepared, so you're really feeling overwhelmed. And so it's hard to stay alert and attentive for that amount of time.
The idea is that stress is a productive tool. So when you're thinking about the more stressed out you are, we talk a lot about managing stress and eliminating stress, but unless you're feeling a fair amount of stress, you're actually not feeling that productive. There's low amount of stress in your life, and by stress I mean cognitive arousal. You're thinking about things, you're feeling a bit anxious potentially about things. You're feeling a little, many students feel pretty bored, right? So they don't have a huge amount of interest in the work. The more stressed out you are, the more you are able to focus and actually focus on the work. It improves performance. But there's a breaking point at that top curve where stress stops being helpful. And the traditional patterns that most students face, and I definitely experienced both of them, was the more stressed out you are, after it stops being productive, you tend to fall into kind of two similar patterns. One is that you end up feeling a bit of paralysis. You just kind of want to push everything off your plate and not do anything. Or sometimes the opposite. It's like you hyper-focus in terms of whatever's in front of you. Make sure you're staying on this side of the curve, or at the top of the curve. Not that stress is becoming so unmanageable that you're feeling paralysis in the moment, but that you're able to use stress to actually to your advantage.
And my favorite event so far happens to be like the sports events. So like For example, yesterday we played, I think, soccer and ultimate frisbee. The lunch with registrars and profs is basically where they answer questions regarding anything administrative or about courses. Then I got to talk to all the different registrars from all the different colleges.
The first technology that I'm going to show you is called Dragon Naturally Speaking, and it's a technology that we call speech recognition technology. So I'll put on the microphone here, start it up. Open DragonPad. Computers don't have any context, so they must determine what a person is saying solely by the sound that is coming to the microphone. Period.
Some people might go to multiple coffee shops, but eventually people would pick the one that they belong to, in a sense. Some would have their mail sent there. So it becomes really their office. There was also a lot of opposition to the coffee shops initially. That the tavern owners in London complained about it, tried to shut down Pascal Rosé's coffee shop.
So this is infrared radiation leaving the Earth again. Instead of just being lost to space, some of it can hit a carbon dioxide molecule, in which case just the amount of heat that is escaping is less. When it hits it, there is an energy match, so the carbon dioxide molecule can start doing its vibration. It is in an excited state.
Right? Here we talk about electronic media consumption and surveillance. How is it that talent is commodified? And in many ways we think you just can't rise out of the rabble like you used to be able to. It's totally changed now that you have things like YouTube, right? We all know where Justin Bieber came from, right? Came from YouTube.
But rather spaces within the city that are segregated because of a whole bunch of other forces. So in particular, these forces exist because of economic forces. So there's places that people can afford, and often our economic systems in North America are quite racialized in terms of who's at the lower end versus who's at the higher end. There may be processes that happen within the real estate market. So redlining is a particular term for ways in which real estate brokers direct certain people into certain neighborhoods.
I'd have to say my favorite part of moving forward was watching students build relationships with each other over the week. And I think that's one of the greatest advantages of like an orientation program, in terms of like giving students a head start in making like U of T their home. And many students from Moving Forward actually end up joining the Access Us peer mentorship program as mentees, so we end up seeing each other once a week for like the rest of the year. And it's a really nice feeling to know that I'm a part of a group that acts like a little tight-knit community, and I get to see them every week.